It feels like every day the news brings another stark reminder about climate change. It really underscores the urgency of meeting those global climate goals we set for 2050. But overhauling our entire energy systems in that time, it's daunting, to say the least.
You're right, it's a massive undertaking. I mean, where do we even begin? It's tempting to think there's one simple solution. Like if we just swap all gas cars for electric ones, problem solved.
Yeah, I get that. Just replace the old tech with shiny new sustainable tech and call it a day.
But the reality is far more complex and frankly far more fascinating. It's not just about replacing parts, it's about reimagining the whole system.
Okay, so how do we even start to wrap our heads around this kind of systemic change?
Well, that's exactly why we're diving into this really comprehensive research paper today.
Perfect timing, because I was just going to ask you about the source material for today's deep dive.
Right, so the title is, and get ready for this, Full Energy Sector Transition Towards 100% Renewable Energy Supply, integrating power, heat, transport, and industry sectors, including desalination.
Wow, that is a mouthful.
I know, right? It basically covers everything.
But that's also what makes it so relevant, I think. It's not just looking at solar panels or wind turbines in isolation, it's considering how all these pieces fit together.
Exactly. The study uses really sophisticated modeling to explore how we can actually power everything. Electricity, heating, transportation, even heavy industry, and desalination, using only renewable energy.
And for our listeners out there, the learners who are eager to understand these complex topics but maybe don't have time to wade through a dense research paper, that's where we come in.
Yeah, we'll break down the key insights, those aha moments, and help you grasp the real-world implications of this research.
So our mission for today is to uncover whether a 100% renewable energy system is really feasible across all these sectors. What are the potential roadblocks, the game changers? What does it all actually mean for our future?
And to put this all into perspective, the study focuses on a pretty interesting case study, Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan? Why there, you might be asking?
It turns out it's a really challenging test case. It has brutally cold winters, high heating demands, and a very energy-intensive industrial sector. So if the study shows that a 100% renewable transition can work there, it makes a very strong case for its potential in other regions.
So if Kazakhstan can pull it off, it's like saying, hey, if they can do it, maybe we can too.
Exactly. Okay, so let's dive into this full energy sector transition report. A central concept that pops up right away is something called sector coupling.
Sector coupling. Sounds a bit technical. Break that down for me.
Sure. It's essentially the idea that we shouldn't think about the energy for our homes, cars, and factories as separate entities. They should be interconnected, working together.
So instead of separate silos, it's more like a network, right?
Precisely. Think of it like this. If solar panels are generating more electricity than needed at a particular moment, we can use that excess energy to produce hydrogen.
Ah, okay, I see where you're going with this. Then that hydrogen can be stored and used later, maybe to power a fuel cell car or even heat a building.
You got it. Or, as the study points out, we could capture waste heat from industrial processes and use it for district heating in nearby communities.
So we're finding ways to use energy more efficiently, reducing waste, and creating a more integrated system.
Exactly. And that's where the real magic of sector coupling comes in. The study found that this integrated approach can dramatically reduce the cost of energy supply when we're running on 100% renewables.
Lower costs. Now you're talking my language. Any hard numbers from the study?
Yes. In fact, the study modeled the potential cost reductions for Kazakhstan specifically. They found that by 2050, with a fully integrated system, the levelized cost of electricity could drop from 62 euros per megawatt hour in 2015 to just 46 euros.
That's a huge difference. I mean, think about the impact that would have on energy bills and business costs.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And within this interconnected system, you know what emerges as the real MVP.
Let me guess, solar panels.
Close, but it's actually the power sector as a whole. Think about it. With more electric cars, electric heating systems, and industries using electricity, the power sector becomes the backbone of everything.
So it's like the central hub distributing clean energy to all the different sectors.
Precisely. However, the study makes it clear that the benefits of this integrated approach are not uniform across all sectors. It depends on things like how flexible energy use can be in a given sector, the cost of storage solutions, things like that.
Right, it makes sense. Heating my home in the dead of winter isn't as flexible as, say, choosing when to charge my electric car.
You got it. So we have sector coupling as the overarching strategy, and then electrification is a crucial enabler.
Okay, electrification. We hear that term all the time, but what exactly does it mean in this context?
Simply put, it means moving away from burning fossil fuels directly and switching to electricity-based solutions powered by renewable energy sources. And that's where another key concept comes in, power to X technologies.
Power to X. Now, there's another buzzword for you. What does that even mean?
It's actually pretty straightforward. It means using renewable electricity to create other forms of energy or products. Think power to heat for heating, electric vehicles for transport, power to fuels to produce hydrogen or synthetic fuels, power to chemicals for things like ammonia and methanol, even power to CO2, which involves capturing carbon dioxide from the air, and power to water through desalination.
Wow, it's like we're taking clean electricity and transforming it into a Swiss Army knife of energy solutions.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And the study highlights a specific technology that plays a critical role in all of this. Electrolyzers.
Electro what?
Electrolyzers. They use electricity to split water into hydrogen and oxygen, and they're super valuable because they can adjust their hydrogen production really quickly, responding to the ups and downs of renewable energy generation.
Oh, I see. So when there's a surplus of solar or wind power, we make more hydrogen. And when it's less sunny or windy, we use the stored hydrogen.
Exactly. And speaking of modeling, the researchers used a really cool tool called the LUT Energy System Transition Model.
Okay, what's so special about that?
Well, it can simulate the entire energy system in incredible detail down to the hour. This is crucial because it allows them to account for the variability of solar and wind power and see how the system can adapt in real time.
Hourly resolution, that's pretty impressive. It gives a much more realistic picture than just looking at averages over days or months.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the overall strategies and technologies. Now let's zoom in on how this transition plays out in each sector, starting with the power sector itself.
All right, let's talk power. What does a 100% renewable power sector look like according to this study?
Well, the study projects a pretty dramatic shift away from fossil fuels, coal, gas, oil, even nuclear, and towards a diverse mix of renewables. Solar PV, wind power, hydropower, bioenergy, geothermal, those are the key players.
Sounds like a pretty radical transformation.
Yeah.
But how do we ensure a reliable electricity supply when we're relying on intermittent sources like solar and wind?
That's where energy storage becomes absolutely essential.
Of course, energy storage, the big question mark for many people.
Right, but the study explores a whole range of storage options. Batteries, pumped hydro, compressed air, even repurposing existing gas storage facilities. They act like giant buffers, soaking up excess energy when it's abundant and releasing it when demand is high or renewable generation dips.
I'm picturing it like a giant energy savings account, putting energy in when we have extra and withdrawing it when we need it.
Exactly. What's interesting is that even though renewable power plants might operate for fewer hours at their maximum capacity than traditional power plants, the overall capacity of the system actually increases.
So more power plants overall, but each one running for fewer hours on average.
Right. And the study points to an interesting trend. While wind power and hydropower might be more cost-effective initially, as the cost of solar keeps dropping, it's projected to become the dominant source of electricity later on.
Makes sense. Solar is already becoming incredibly competitive. Okay, let's move on to the heat sector. I imagine this is a big challenge, especially in a place like Kazakhstan with those frigid winters.
You're right. Heating is a huge part of their energy consumption. The study suggests moving away from those centralized, fossil fuel-based district heating systems and toward a more distributed approach. This includes individual heating systems in buildings, using electric heat pumps, and incorporating sustainably sourced biomass in some cases.
Heat pumps, aren't those basically like reverse air conditioners?
Yes, they use electricity to move heat from one place to another very efficiently. Now, while the study projects that the heat sector in Kazakhstan could get very close to carbon neutrality by 2045, it does acknowledge that it'll be a bit slower compared to the power sector.
Why is that?
Well, you have those intense heating demands in winter when renewable energy production might be lower. Plus, directly burning fuels for heat can be surprisingly efficient in some cases.
So even in a 100% renewable future, there might still be a role for a sustainable biomass, especially during extreme cold spells.
It's a possibility. Okay, ready to tackle transportation.
Absolutely. Electric cars are becoming more common, but what does a fully renewable transportation sector look like?
The study envisions a massive shift away from fossil fuels towards a combination of approaches. You have direct electrification with battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles.
Those are the usual suspects. Anything else?
Yes. There's also a role for indirect electrification, which means using sustainably produced fuels like green hydrogen, biofuels, and synthetic fuels.
So it's not just about everyone driving a Tesla.
Right. These other fuels are important, especially for sectors like long-haul trucking, shipping, maybe even aviation in the future. Here's a cool finding. Despite a projected increase in both passenger and freight transport, the overall energy demand for transportation actually drops significantly.
Wow, how is that possible?
It's because electric motors are simply much more efficient than traditional combustion engines. More energy goes towards actually moving the vehicle.
That makes sense. All right, now for the big one, heavy industry. We're talking cement, steel, chemicals, aluminum, pulp, and paper. These are notoriously difficult to decarbonize. How does the study address this?
You're right, these are tough sectors. But the study outlines some key transformations. For cement, they focus on improving production processes to reduce energy demand. In steelmaking, the vision is to shift towards hydrogen-based direct reduced iron production and electric arc furnaces, replacing those massive coal-burning blast furnaces.
That's a huge change. What about the other sectors?
For chemicals, they see renewable electricity and green hydrogen becoming the primary feedstocks and energy sources. For aluminum, the emphasis is on recycling, which uses way less energy than making new aluminum. And for pulp and paper, they highlight sustainable biomass sourcing and using more renewable electricity.
It seems like hydrogen plays a crucial role in a lot of these industrial transitions.
Absolutely, it's super versatile. And the study points out that integrating these heavy industries into the broader energy system can actually make the whole system more flexible. For instance, the huge demand for electricity to produce green hydrogen can be adjusted depending on the availability of renewable energy.
So these industries can act like massive energy sponges, soaking up excess solar and wind power when it's abundant.
That's the idea. And finally, the study also looks at integrating desalination technologies. This is crucial for water-scarce regions like parts of Kazakhstan.
Right, because even though Kazakhstan isn't next to an ocean, desalination could be a solution, but it requires a lot of energy, right?
It does. The study suggests that incorporating desalination and the associated infrastructure for transporting water could actually double the required electricity generation capacity in Kazakhstan. And desalination plants typically operate at a constant rate, meaning they're less flexible than, say, hydrogen production.
So while it solves a vital need for fresh water, it also adds a substantial new energy demand that needs to be met by the renewable system. Okay, so we've looked at the individual sectors. What are the main takeaways, the big picture benefits and challenges of this integrated approach?
One of the most striking findings is the substantial cost reduction that comes with greater energy system integration. The study also shows a decrease in the amount of renewable energy that needs to be wasted because we don't have enough demand or storage capacity.
So less wasted clean energy and lower costs overall. That's a win-win.
Absolutely. And remember, all that flexibility we talked about, electrolyzers, the transport sector, and industries adjusting their energy use, those all play a crucial role in managing the variability of solar and wind power.
It sounds like we're building a more resilient and responsive energy system, but I'm sure there are challenges too, right?
Of course. The study acknowledges that integrating sectors with less flexible demand or high storage costs, like the heat sector in a cold climate, can be tricky. Meeting those peak heating needs during long winter nights requires careful planning and a mix of solutions.
So it's not all smooth sailing, but the overall conclusion of the study is surprisingly optimistic, right?
Yes. Despite the challenges posed by Kazakhstan's climate and its energy-intensive industries, the study concludes that a 100% renewable energy system is achievable there by 2050, both technically and economically. And that's a big deal because it suggests stellar transitions are possible in other regions with comparable conditions.
So we shouldn't underestimate the power of this integrated approach, and it really emphasizes the importance of looking at the whole energy system, not just individual pieces.
Exactly. You simply wouldn't see the full potential if you analyze things in isolation.
All right, the learners, let's recap the key takeaways from our deep dive into this full energy sector transition study.
The main message is that sector coupling isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential for a cost-effective transition to a 100% renewable energy system across all sectors. And the power sector becomes the heart of this system, driven by the electrification of pretty much everything else.
And flexibility is key. We need technologies like electrolyzers, smart charging systems for electric vehicles, and industries that can adjust their energy use to smooth out the ups and downs of renewable energy generation.
Right. And even those hard to decarbonize sectors, heavy industry and desalination, can be integrated into this system, though they might need specific solutions to address their unique challenges.
I think the biggest aha moment for me is just grasping the interconnectedness of it all. By thinking about the energy system as a whole, we can unlock massive benefits, lower costs, greater efficiency, better use of resources that wouldn't be apparent if we looked at each piece in isolation. And the Kazakhstan case study really brings this point home.
It shows that even with tough challenges, a fully renewable future is achievable if we embrace this integrated system-wide approach.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder. If a country like Kazakhstan can realistically transition to 100% renewable energy, what are the biggest hurdles preventing other countries and regions from doing the same? Are they technological, political, economic, social? How might these findings change your own views on the energy transition and its power to transform our world? We encourage you to dig deeper into this study or explore related research to learn more. Think about how these large-scale changes might affect individual choices, the future of industries, and the health of our planet.
A fascinating topic, and there's so much more to discover.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.